Hello, my dear students. How are you? I hope you are well. Today, I want to conduct a class. The class will be held on by me. I am Siddharth Shekhar Bishwas, lecturer, Department of English, Mathoel Haji Abdul Latif Bhuiya University College. Today, I will study a poem. The name of the poem is Crossing the Water, written by Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath was born in America, and the next time she was settled in Britain. And I have already discussed about this poetess in my previous classes. Today, at first, I want to introduce the poem. Poetry became my passion after I fell in love with Walter Tila Nias Silva in Mrs. Vietnam Pickett's sophomore English class circa 1962. The speaker in Sylvia Plath's Crossing the Water begins her performance tainted by the influence of an intensely dark mood. But then, just a flicker of state transforms her dark mood from grave to wonder. This lyrical poem consists of only 12 lines, separated into tercets. Each tercet builds to the emerging crescendo of the fabulous image of the silence of astounded souls, one of Plath's most memorable creations. Now I want to recite this poem. Black lake, black boat, two black cart paper people. Where do the black trees go that drink here? Their shadows must cover Canada. A little light is filtering from the water flowers. Their lips don't wish us to hurry. They are round and flowered and full of dark advice. Cold words shake from the wall. The spirit of blackness is in us, it is in the fishes. A snap is a lifting, reductive, pale, and stars open among the lilies. Are you not blinded by such expressionless silence? This is the silence of astounded souls. Darkness sometimes yields a supernatural light whose power can modify the night's darkness, causing the soul of transcend all earthly anguish. Plath's speaker shares the experience in colorful yet subdued imagery. First tercet is blackness. Black lake, black boat, two black cart paper people. Where do the black trees go that drink here? Their shadows must cover Canada. The speaker thirdly describes an ominous setting. Black lake, black boat, two black card paper people. The somber mood heralds and equally somber, even by their question. That asks where black trees go after they drink here. The question is daring because trees literally go nowhere regardless of where they drink. But this speaker's mind is a zapped is that asks figurative questions and makes only imaginary assertions. For example, after the daring question, she claims that the shadows of those trees must cover Canada. The enormity of those shadows implies near equally enormous trees. Second tacit, the speaker's mood. A little light is filtering from the water flowers. Their lips do not wish us to hurry. They are round and flat and full of dark advice. The speaker then notes a little light in this nearly total blackout, and that light is filtering from the water flowers. The speaker's mood gained in tours upon common sense, leading her to believe that the leaves of those water flowers do not wish us to hurry. Although the speaker is alone, she now suggests that she is traveling with at least one other person. Despite her opening reference to black cut paper people, the speaker's assertions indicate that she is in fact taking to herself as the muses on the solemn scene. The card paper people do not accompany her, they reside in the imaginary realm within the darkness that the speaker quite desperately attempts to penetrate with her against the natural forces and her peculiar claims. The speaker describes the leaves of the water flowers as round and flat, and more strikingly, these leaves are filled with dark advice. The speaker implies that she is privy to that advice, yet she also suggests that her understanding of the advice is followed. Third tacit, vital water. Cold waters shake from the water. The spirit of blackness is in us. It is in the fishes. A snark is lifting a valedictory pale hand. As the oars move the boat toward the black water, the speaker perceives that water flowing from the oars morphs into cold waters. The earth that is made of 3/4 water is but a drop that the oarsman might shake from the oar as he moves the boat through the dark water. The speaker then concludes that this somber scene reveals the blackness that is in its human being. She makes her plain statement: the spirit of blackness is in us, and follows it with the claim that this blackness is also in the fishes. Fourth tacit, stunned speaker stirs open among the lilies. Are you not blinded by such expressionless silence? This is the silence of astounded souls. Suddenly, the speaker notices stars open among the lilies. This statement can be taken literally as well as figuratively. The stars that have suddenly appeared in this blackened landscape reflect both sky and earth. They not only appear, however, they also open. The light that now appears along with the newly formed visible lilies stuns the speaker so much that she blurs out a revealing question. I am not blinded by such expressionless silence. Unlike the singing silence of the Odyssey, this silence seeing only to the eyes and coming out of blackness, they seem to blind the observers with their brilliance. Because they remain expressionless, that is silent, they represent the kind of silence of astounded souls. The speaker is shaken from her black mood into one of astonishment. She is transported to a mood of surprise by the simplicity of light and silence. Thank you very much.